Oh, Eber, what does Azoth mean?
Use it in a sentence.
I found this Azoth at CES, man.
Do you mean the ROG Azoth 75% wireless mechanical keyboard?
Oh, okay, let's unbox. This is supposed to be targeting their DIY custom enthusiast gamers, so who are potentially coming from a standard mechanical keyboard into something a little bit more special. You seeing this? Eber? Lubed keyboard coming from the factory. Okay, let's see what's up. Of course, we cannot forget our stickers. I love stickers, so I'm taking this. It's gonna be plastered all over my PC. Okay, so this is actually pretty special coming for a gaming keyboard. So we have our braided USB-C cable, and the rest is targeted towards doing a little bit of DIY with your switches. So we have a keycap puller, we have a proper switch puller, we have a switch disassembler. So you put that switch in there and you can put the switch apart so you can do lubing later. We do actually have a little tub of Crytek's 205, I think, an actual lube, and a proper lube brush as well. It doesn't seem super high quality, but I think it will do the job. We do have this base for the USB receiver that actually has a clip at the bottom, so you can connect it to your mouse mat and it's not gonna go anywhere. This is actually pretty genius. This is our lubing station onto which you can populate all your switches that you'll be lubing later or that have been completed. Just a little something to help you with the entire process. Nice. And now we have the main event, the ROG Azoth keyboard. So this thing has a lot of density despite having a plastic base. This is necessary for wireless connectivity. If this was metal, we wouldn't be able to see Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz, but the top aluminum plate is super nice and heavy.
What am I doing again?
All right, Eber, I want your first impressions.
What is this POS? Just kidding, I'm just kidding. Okay, all right, so, so the first thing I noticed is it is a very heavy chassis. Like this thing, you can feel some weight,
yeah, it's very dense, right?
Very dense. I like the dual tone colorway switches, which is really good. The typing experience feels like a premium product. How much is this again?
I have no idea.
Please don't tell me it's 250 bucks.
Probably.
The Series 500, man, that sounds like a spaceship with these 60% porosity panels and perfect dust filtration on all the ventilated areas. An optional LCD can be mounted on the PSU shroud for extra bling. All fan locations fit 140mm fans for that powerful and colorful takeoff, because cooling is now supported by the new best performing case fans from Thermaltake. Plus, that PCI area rotates on the frame level for proper FPS destroyer support, so you don't waste any potential. Check it out below.
So first of all, this is a 75% keyboard layout, therefore we have our dedicated arrows and all the insert, delete, page up, page down, which I absolutely love. Especially that delete key is super crucial for DaVinci Resolve users. If you know, you know. Quick basics out of the way, it is N-key rollover, 1000 Hertz. We have tri-mode connectivity, so wired, Bluetooth, up to 3 devices, and 2.4 gigahertz wireless that ASUS weirdly calls, what's it called? Speed Nova. Everyone has to name their wireless connectivity, and that's what it is here. And we do have a switch at the back to change our different modes, which is super convenient. So if you are plugging this thing in, with the receiver that nicely stashes inside the body over here beside the power button, and for some reason the keyboard's not working, just make sure you're in the right mode, and that's how you know. So we have PBT, double shot PBT keycaps, which Eber does not like the font of, and I agree, it's very gamery.
It's not my style, They took the ROG font and then they just like extended it, because normally it's like a little bit squeezed, right? So.
But the texture feels great. They are mid-height, therefore slightly shorter stem to eliminate key wobble. So they're almost like low profile, but not exactly. They're slightly higher. The keyboard is PC and Mac compatible, and normally you'd need to replace the keycaps for that Mac or PC Windows experience. But no, here the Mac Legends are actually built in, and they're pretty low profile, so they're not intrusive, but they're there for Mac users if you need them. So hot swap switches with a 5-pin layout, north-facing LED, just keep that in mind. The keyboard will come with NX Red, Brown, and Blues, so covering the entire range. But the really interesting thing about the switches is that their yields are much better. Therefore, they have much better consistency in terms of the plus and minus tolerances for both travel distance and the actual actuation force as well. Cool, cool, cool. The switches are pre-lubed at the factory, and you can definitely tell there's something a little extra premium in there. So both the switch stem and the actual housing are lubed, and of course you can take the switches apart to see it for yourself. The stabilizers are also lubed, which is very interesting, and under the spacebar you'll be able to see additional foam pieces for additional dampening when you do bottom out, and that's very important, especially for the massive key, the biggest key on the keyboard. Yep. It is also a gasket mounted keyboard. That means that the PCB is not directly mounted onto the frame. It is suspended by this like silicone layer, therefore giving you a little extra cushioniness when you type, and it has 3 additional sound dampening layers. So there's a silicone foam at the base to absorb all these like vibrations and all the acoustic stuff that normally bounces around in a actual chassis. We have a silicone foam above the PCB, and also this poron, it's a very weird word, poron foam right underneath the PCB that again absorbs some vibrations. And Eber, you gotta stop laughing, it's called poron. What am I supposed to say?
Like P-O-R-O-N? Yeah. I'm not gonna say that out loud. I'm not gonna say that out loud. I'm not gonna say that out loud, no. Show me the, oh, okay. I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it just for you guys, all right? It is, oh my god. It's called Poron Foam Board. I said it. I did it. I did it.
So lots of foam in here for a very pleasant sound experience. Let's take a listen. I would say the biggest bling on the keyboard, of course, is that 2-inch OLED screen. When they say 2-inch, we have a pretty massive forehead at the top and a massive chin at the bottom, so the actual usable screen area is not as much, but it is OLED, so those darks are pure black, which is awesome, so you don't get that weird, like, ah, man, I can see the rest of the LCD, whatever. It is only white, which I appreciate so much. It would suck if this was RGB, because the rest of the keyboard already has individually lit switches, so you can do all types of cool lighting here, but the LED stays pure white. So here, the LED can display animation, it can display battery status, your connectivity level, all types of information for multimedia, and it even can display some system information for CPU and GPU that it can read from within its own software. So a very easy integration here with a button on the side and this little lever that you can navigate through all types of menus. Very well integrated. My only thing is that the little side elements over here are not very high resolution, so I would say it would be nice if those were kind of disabled or brought onto the main screen so that you can see them with a bit more clarity. We have 3 tilt positions at the bottom over here. The keyboard does charge with USB-C, and you do have to go into the wired mode for the wired operation to actually start going. And battery life on this thing is super impressive, although there's a big asterisk there. You have to turn off the OLED screen and the RGB if you want to achieve 2,000 hours. Eber, you hear that for the first time? Are you impressed, my friend?
Yeah.
But of course, as soon as you turn off that RGB, that you can of course adjust the illuminescence of, the same thing with the OLED screen, the battery life will drop. As Eber says, when you turn on the RGB, it does boost your FPS as well. Don't forget that. At least 20%, right? I would say so. I love the inclusion of all the accessories that give you the DIY experience. Even though it's not very fun to disassemble all the switches over here, it at least gives you the option to do so. I love the fact that we can store the USB receiver inside the actual body, although it is not labeled. Excuse me, I have the new mouse at home as well, and like having those two plugged in at the same time, I don't know which is what's plugged in where. But otherwise, I feel like the color scheme and all the additional features that are normally found on the gaming keyboard, but with an extra flair. And the Azoth, man, I can't wait to do a full review, so stay tuned for that. Let me know what you think of the keyboard, and I'll talk to you in the next video.